Yo people, hope you're all doing well and welcome to a new video. So with patch 6.2 being live for almost a month now, the markets have calmed down quite a lot. This might now be a good time to get some other cool crafting content out of the way if you haven't already done so. Specifically here we are talking about the relics for crafters, also known as sky steel tools. These are tools that have a really unique look to them as they glow and animate whilst you craft. These relics can be obtained by completing a few series of upgrades by crafting special recipes and handing them in to vendors to obtain the next step of the tool, essentially working your way up to the final tool, aka the relic. These tools were introduced in Shadowbringers where the level cap was 80, and now that the level cap is 90, these have become quite easy to get. To elaborate, I timed how long that it would take me to get the last sky steel tool that I needed, and it took me 1 hour and 11 minutes to complete, and this was with some AFK periods involved too. Of course, I did make some preparations beforehand, but I'll get more into that now. So in order to prep, I'd recommend having the current BIS crafter set, which is eye level 590 for the tools and the armor, and eye level 560 for the accessories. This is most important for the last stage in the relic where you will need to craft expert recipes. I'd also recommend that you have a full stack of white scripts before starting, along with some material to craft some extra white script hand-ins if required. If you're an omni crafter or at least have alchemist leveled, then I'd focus on making the rarefied draughts for the hand-ins as the mats are the easiest to get. If not, just go with the cheapest option you have available. You will also need some CITES and some cunning craftsman's draught. Again, this will only be needed for the last step, which is for the expert recipes. So in order to get started, you will need to have a crafter leveled to at least 80 and then complete the quest Mislaid Plans in Ishgard, which you can find here. If you don't see the quest, then it means that you will need to complete the quest towards the firmament in order to unlock it. Once you have completed the quest, you will receive a sky steel prototype coffer, which you can open with your desired class to unlock the sky steel tool for that class. Now with this tool, you are required to craft a specific HQ recipe and hand it in to Dennis in order to receive a +1 of the weapon that you currently have. If you speak to Dennis and click on the first option, find your weapon and it will show you what item is required for your craft. Alternatively, you can open your crafting log, go to a special recipe tab, down to Ishgard Restoration and check under Sky Steel Tools. The recipes you see here are all the recipes that you will be required to craft for the relic. These recipes are in order for each stage from top to bottom. For example, for stage 1, you will need to make the first in the list, for step 2, the second in the list, and so on. To help you prepare for this, I have noted down the amount of recipes you will need to hand in for each stage. The materials that start with oddly can be purchased from any collectible script vendor under the level 80 materials tab. So using both the information for how many recipes you will need to hand in along with which oddly materials you can purchase from the vendor, you will need a total of 3,320 white scripts. For the other materials listed in the recipes, you can literally just buy them off the market board or craft them yourself. So with the preparations out of the way, we can now start the journey on getting your relic. So as we are level 90, with the recipes here being level 80, this means that we can use the trained finesse skill, which allows you to HQ or high quality an item instantly since it is 10 levels below you. Paired with groundwork, you can use a macro that looks like this. This macro is pretty simple to make, but I'll put a link in the description with this macro included, along with the macro that I'll be mentioning later for the expert recipes. So using this macro, you now want to make 20 of the first oddly recipe in order to finish step 1. Now once you have completed step 1, head back to Dennis and trade in the 20 HQ items that you have made along with your tool, which you will need to have unequipped, and then he will give you a +1 version. For step 2, you will need to do the same thing as step 1, but this time you will need to hand in 30 HQ items. Do the same thing you did in step 1, and when completed, hand in the tool along with the 30 HQ items. You will now be given a Dragon Sung tool. For steps 3 and 4, you will need to have the Dragon Sung tool equipped and then speak to Nimi to pick up the quest Ever Skyward. This quest will send you to make collectible items, which can be traded into Dennis to obtain the Gobi Goo that Nimi wants. So to make it simpler, just focus on how many of the step 3 recipes you need, which will be 18. Make these using the same macro that you used in step 1 and 2 and hand them into Dennis. He will give you 5 Gobi Goos in return for 1, making that a total of 90. Hand these into Nimi along with the tool and she will give you an augmented Dragon Song tool. Equip it, speak to her, and she will send you on another quest. For this quest, she will require 105 Gobigoos, so you need to craft 21 of the stage 4 recipes and hand them in. Again, just use the same macro that you used in the previous step. Once completed, you will now be given a Sky Song tool, and this is the last and final step. So for this step, you will need to head over to the firmament and speak to Emily. This step will be similar to steps 3 and 4 in that you will need to craft collectibles and hand them in order to receive a material. The recipes in this last stage, however, will be different from before in that they are now expert recipes. This means that we cannot take advantage of the trained finesse skill. So now your gear and your buffs will come into play. As mentioned before, I'd recommend you have the highest gear available for crafters with some basic modes at least. This can be control with some CP. You will also need some side tees and cunning craftsman's draw to get your CP to over 670. Before you go ahead and craft this, use the trial synthesis option with your buffs active and see if you are able to continuously hit over 1230 collectability. This will give you the highest bracket reward for the hand-ins, which is 3 per hand-in, meaning you will only need to do this 20 times to get all of the required materials needed. If you cannot constantly get over 1230 collectability, then you will only get 2 parts instead of 3, meaning you may need to do this a few more times instead. And with this last stage completed, you can now hand in your Skybuilders tool and the mats over to Emily, and she will give you your shiny relic tool. Congratulations. And with that, you can now flex with your new shiny tool for your crafters. So I hope this video helped you to understand how quick and easy it is to actually get the relic for glam purposes. I've seen a lot of people still without it, and I assume that maybe people think that it's still a long process to obtain. But as mentioned in this video, we can take a big advantage with some of the new skills available to us. And on that note, I will also be making a resplendent tools video for both crafters and gatherers in the future, so stay tuned for those. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe and comment below on any other videos that you'd like to see. I will see you in the next video. Peace.